Get my nipples licked, that's breastfeeding while we fuck. Finna get the dick wet and firm. You better sweat me out of my perm.
On your dick, got the cock in me, I'm scoring. Got the cock real sticky, come sticky, I straight adore it. I done bossed up, bitch, gotta fuck him and suck his dick.
On my spit on his dick sound like I'm gargling. Lick him bust 3 nuts is the task. My penny stuck in my ass. So I pulled him down to show him the pearl. Made his pubic hairs curl fast.
Hold my ass cheeks, my brother. Fuck me so deep. Fuck yeah. Hold tight, my man. Yeah. He's got a big dick.
I just played one of the best Pokemon games ever, and I'm here to tell you all about it. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Ruby was one of the first video games I remember owning, and I've decided to devote the rest of my life and soul to the franchise. And by that, I mean I'll play the new games when they come out. Do I have to like them? No. Frankly, I think the past few recent ones have been kind of piece of shit! From getting my hopes up thinking the next game will be different, even though deep down, we all know it won't be. But Pokemon does have a few side games you might have heard of, like Pokemon
Little bitch.
or Pokemon
Dumbass!
or that weird geometric one. But there's one franchise that I feel like doesn't get talked about nearly as much as it deserves, and that's Pokemon.
It's over for you! This is the police!
I was riding your mom when she's Mario Kart. I gave a lift back to her crib cause a cow wouldn't start. She invited me in the house and we started making out again. How many times I tapped that?
In October, I went on the first vacation I've been on with my family in years. My dad works super hard all the time, so normally it would be either my brother, mom, and me, or just me and my mom, and even those vacations became pretty sparse. It's been over 10 years since we've all had a family vacation, and all of a sudden we have a week to be squished together in a foreign country. So how'd this one go? Day 1. We arrived at the Tokyo airport after a nice and easy 11-hour flight and got off the plane like, wow, I can't believe we finally made it. We've been planning and looking forward to this trip for almost a year, and it's finally happening. How do we get out of here? We walked around the airport for 2 hours trying to figure out what we had to do, which train we had to get. We lost Dad for like half an hour in the sea of Asians. I'd already expected the worst and thought he was dead, but no worries, turns out he wasn't taken out by the Japanese.
Dildo.
My mom had to get train tickets and he had to take care of the luggage, so we split up and planned to meet at a ticket counter, but little did we know there were 2 of them on opposite ends of the floor, and as the stereotype goes, they looked exactly the same. So my parents were just grumbling and waiting for each other to show up at the opposite ticket stand with no method of communication because we didn't have Wi-Fi yet. After figuring that out and getting to the Tokyo station, we had to use the subway to get to our hotel. None of us grew up in the city, and using the subway was new to us, so we had to look at the train station map to see what to do.
No.
Is this the Windows 98 type screensaver? What is this? Props to people who use the Metro daily, or even just know how to figure that stuff out, because that's like a whole Bill Gates secret code, and the consequence of making a mistake is paying to be plopped in an area you never wanted to be at in the first place. We didn't even know how to start reading the map, so my dad resorted to the only logical option. Do you speak English? Do you speak English? Konnichiwa. Please, help us.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香。
We stopped at a cafe for breakfast, and it was at that point where I realized I wasn't going to be able to use the image translation app I downloaded to try and make communication easier while we were there. It would have been super awesome to just hover the camera over the Japanese symbols and have the phone immediately be like, hey, this is what this says, but it wasn't working the way I thought it would. I don't speak Japanese, but I'm pretty sure they weren't selling a surprised
Penis!
who married it.
Penis!
Why is she so surprised? Second day, we walked on Japan's big famous crosswalk that looks like the beep. Went to a hedgehog cafe. Got on the wrong train. Mega Tonuki! We had another bus tour around Kyoto, and one of the stops was this 1,000 golden statues temple that was really cool, and we learned about a bunch of gods, one of which I, a Pokemon master, already recognized since it was the inspiration behind
Ram Ranch!
Another one of the stops on the bus tour was this temple called Kiyomizu-dera. And there's a whole backstory to this place where some people would do this thing called taking the
Dildo.
I'd rather put my hands in the life of Cam. Guys, I have indeed lost my dick!
I like it, cut G.
After that, we saw the 1,000 red
Dildos!
You're allowed to walk under them, but apparently it takes like 3 hours to get through them all, and we didn't have that time, so we walked under like 10 and called it a day. After waking up with some French toast with a pound of
Semen!